interesting segue that's going to lead us from the what's trending and why into sports. And you're going to be like, oh, well, that was weird, but it actually worked. Yes, it does. So Amazon officially announced that their Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, is going to get its first official trailer release during this year's Super Bowl. That's crazy because you wouldn't think that a lot of Lord of the Rings fans would necessarily be football fans, but I'm a Lord of the Rings fan and I love football, so this was actually very, very exciting to me. And I think that's a very good use of funds because it is one of the single most watched events, period. Especially in the United States. So it actually kind of works. Now, they are promising to give us a lot more than just fingers reaching for a ring. And what I also found out is this Lord of the Rings of Power for Amazon is actually the single most expensive TV show ever made. That's a lot at stake, but I can't help but love it because I am such a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Like, to be in a like a really badass, like Peter Jackson style rendition of Lord of the Rings would be like the ultimate goal. It seriously would. It seriously would. Even though it's a more male heavy cast, it would still be great to have some sort of role as a woman in Lord of the Rings because I grew up being such a huge fan from the 1970s cartoon versions of Lord of the Rings that my mom introduced me to all the way through to today. Really, really awesome. So you get the first official trailer for Lord of the Rings of Power, which predates, Frodo and Bilbo and all of that. It's really, really cool. So you're going to get the first trailer officially released as one of these Super Bowl commercials during the Super Bowl. Really, really awesome. And that leads me to the sports section of this podcast. You see how that worked? You were like, how is Lord of the Rings going to lead into the sports? I got your back. Taeler Hendrix is your girl. I didn't lie, did I? No, I did not. By the way, speaking of lying, who had the Rams versus the Bengals for the 2022 Super Bowl on their bingo card? Oh, wait. Like, who are you? I want to meet you because this is crazy. Now, I can't necessarily hate on it. As you guys know, I'm a huge diehard Patriots fan, and I also really like the Kansas City Chiefs. But I was like, Rams versus Bengals. Who would have thought? The two teams that have the most Super Bowl appearances were out of the Super Bowl and out of the playoffs, like, kind of early on. And then we ended up with the Rams versus the Bengals. Crazy. But congratulations. And here's why I do say that. The Cincinnati Bengals have not been to a Super Bowl since 1988 and 89. Okay, gas prices were barely $1. Skid Row was at the top of the charts, okay? It was a completely different time. I think their fans have earned this moment, guys. So it's kind of a Cinderella story. The major underdog ends up going to the Super Bowl. I mean, who thought that they would beat the Kansas City Chiefs? I think Patrick Mahomes has a lot personally going on right now, and I think that played a lot. But I mean, that's a really awesome Cinderella story. Like, nobody thought that they would go anywhere this year, let alone all the way to the Super Bowl. That's amazing. So kudos, huge congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals. Seriously, that's awesome. And then the Rams, I can't help but cheer for Matthew Stafford. When his wife Kelly was diagnosed with a tumor, it was brain cancer. He worked himself to the bone to be able to provide for her to have the best possible care, for her to have the best possible outcome, to now be cancer free. That's amazing. That's a story, and that's a person you want to root for. You know what I'm saying? So either way you slice it, and I always make like a cake or a brownie or something, so I always slice into the Super Bowl. So either way you slice it, this is actually a really cool Cinderella story, so to speak, to like underdogs coming in and overcoming all the odds, all the bets, much to the chagrin of some haters, and they are now in your 2022 Super Bowl. And speaking of the Super Bowl and the teams that have the most appearances, Tom Brady officially retired. Now, if you guys saw one of my YouTube shorts, I made that video when it came out that there was only rumors that he retired, but then people in his family were saying he wasn't retired. So there was a lot of confusion. Well, then within a few days after, I think, some of his family members saying that he didn't retire, he then did officially retire. So now no more Tom Brady, which is really, really sad. He will always be like huge to New New England and the Patriots. We really appreciate all the dedication he put in to New England and all the really great stuff he did. So it is really, really sad. It is an end of an era. But also I think he's earned this, and I think his family has earned this too. So that's also another thing that you really want to cheer for. Speaking of the NFL player Anthony Harris recently took an 11-year-old to a daddy-daughter dance, and this is so sweet. So this 11-year-old girl, her name is Audrey Soap. Her mother Holly contacted Anthony Harris asking him to take her daughter to the daddy-daughter dance because her daughter was very, very sad. Audrey was very sad because her father recently passed away. And so one of the reasons why Holly, the mother, decided to reach out to Anthony Harris is because her late husband and Audrey's father was a very, very big fan of Anthony Harris, dating all the way back to when he was on the Minnesota Vikings. That is so sweet. So Anthony Harris, he actually took Audrey Soap to her daddy-daughter dance. Like, doesn't that make you like want to like tear up and like choke up a little bit? Like, talk about having like a superstar status and doing something great with it. Like, that is amazing. You got to shed more light on stuff like that. And stories like that happen a lot.